So, good morning, class, and I will begin with the explanation of the chapter diversity. Please switch off your mic. Somebody has his mic open. Now, firstly, let me quickly tell you the introduction what diversity is. Basically, last time we did diversity and it means differences. Now, India is a country where n number of people are living of different caste, color, creed, section, gender, languages, everything is different. Yet, India has been able to survive all the differences and has come as united. It has been a country where all festivals are celebrated with equal zeal. If we are not broken down by the politicians, Indian people are basically loving people. And here we talk of diversity, and in India, there are a number of different people. Yet, in that difference, in that diversity, we are united as one. Then we talked of diversity in family structure. Leave about the others. In your own family, the people are different. Some could be naughty, some could be serious, some could be funny, some could be, uh, irritating. Some could be extrovert, some could be introvert. So we talked of the joint family system where people live together with their grandparents, parents, and their uncles, aunties, cousins all live together in one house. That is called a joint family, whereas a single family or a nuclear family, as it is called, is the family where father, mother, and the kids are living together. So, in that connection only, I had asked you all to click a family photograph, name them up and update them. And updation I had stopped because I want first 6D to submit their activity and then I'll give you the date. On that day, you will submit your activity and I will make a PDF of it and will send to the school profile. So now we come on to cultural diversity. Here, now the image is little hazy, but I think you'll bear it. Just a second. Yes. Cultural diversity. Cultural diversity is a new universal ethic in the cause of development and peace. The man made environment also develops culture. The culture of a society means its customs, ideas, art, religions, music, and dance, etc. The food habits of the people, the festivals they celebrate, and their art and handicrafts are all parts of the culture. So now, this is the new term. You all know. ऐसे तो पता है कि culture क्या है. लेकिन now to define it is difficult. So let us first deal with this word culture. Culture क्या है? The तरीका of living. That means, now let us just talk of Lucknow, our city. Now we know the Nawabs had lived here and it carries a lovely culture of ethics. Ethics means mannerism. Now, if you visit Lucknow, firstly, the language is very polite. हम हमेशा आप करके बात करते हैं, बड़ों को इज्जत दे के बात करते हैं, तहजीब है हमारे कल्चर में. And if we talk of food, Mughlai food is delicious. I don't know if you're a vegetarian. I am a vegetarian, but once I was a non-vegetarian, long time back, maybe 10 years before. So I talk of the cuisine. Now, if you talk of Lucknow only, you will see the lovely Mughlai food, the kebabs, all these things are symbol of our culture. The fried biryani, and sorry, the biryani, all this is a finger licking cuisine which has, you know, imbibed our culture together. So, culture basically means the way in which we live. And when a community as a whole lives in a certain pattern, that is called culture. Now, if you know In Lucknow, what is famous? It is the chicken curry work. Have you seen the chicken curry work of Lucknow? You all must be aware of it.
Yes,
It is
yes,
famous.
ma'am.
It is very, very famous even outside.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
So that is
No,
culture.
ma'am.
नो प्रॉब्लम बेटा यू विल नो मामा से बोलना हमको कोई अपना चिकन का सूप दिखाइए वो दिखा देंगे तुमको ठीक है then there are lovely customs there are lovely traditions the music the dance everything talks of the culture of that place so India is a land of culture why because there are n number of people in different states following different languages there are big and nice volumes of books written on those literatures in different languages, which are all in all very, very informative. Then there are festivals of different religion, which add up to our culture because anyhow, even if I am of another religion, even if I don't know the exact pattern of how a particular festival is celebrated, yet I'm little aware कि अच्छा इसमें तो सिवई बनती है, अच्छा इसमें तो बकरे को काटते हैं, अच्छा इसमें दीपा दिए जलाते हैं, अच्छा इसमें रंगों से खेलते हैं. All these things we know. Why? Because people are mingled together in one thread. They love each other, they know each other. And that is what a culture is all about. So here they are talking of cultural diversity. That means हमारे तौर तरीके जो कि अलग अलग हैं. Culture means the तौर तरीके, the pattern of living. Diversity means differences. So basically, we are having varied cultural diversities in our country. Yet we are standing as one nation. When the nation calls us, we all are united. Cultural diversity has been at the center of the UNESCO's concern since the organization came into existence more than 50 years ago. Now, there's an organization, it's an international organization which deals with the culture of the entire world, and they have been of concern that every country should preserve their customs and cultures. Children, one of you has opened the mic. Please switch it off. After the call, I will know who has done it. Right now, I don't want any interference. Either you close your mic or I will make sure that I lock the group and throw you out. Switch off your mic. In the wake of 11 September 2001, terrorist attack at the World Trade Center in New York, USA, the UNESCO's Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity was adopted by 185 member states. It is the fomenting act of a new ethic being promoted by the UNESCO at the dawn of the 21st century. So, after the attack of World Trade at the World Trade Center in 11 September 2001, it was decided that culture should be taken as a prime motive. Every culture should be encouraged so that the people who are of terrorist mind should at least follow their culture. They don't have to change their religion. They don't have to change anything. They just should be more aware about their culture. कोई भी culture, कोई भी community किसी को नफरत करने के लिए, किसी को hatred के लिए नहीं कहती है. No religion tells that you can go and kill another person. No religion says that you should have hatred for your other friend. All religions teach good values. So that is the reason why UNESCO highlighted that everyone should follow the culture. They should be aware what the cultural bonding is all about. If one is not able to follow the cultural values, then it is all Prapti Dhameja, I'm throwing you out. Do not enter my class if you cannot close your mic. Every time this happens, you all can see Prapti with the mic open. Prapti, close your mic, please. You are disturbing the whole class. I have closed it now. Don't open it. Don't you all feel very disturbed when these fault of one child and the whole class gets disturbed? Okay, I'm sorry for losing my temper because I'm here to teach, and I know most of you are here to gain knowledge, leaving a few. So, coming back to the topic without wasting much time and without shouting at you. Now, today the world has about 6,000 communities and many distinct languages. Such differences naturally leads to diversity of vision, values, beliefs, practices, and expressions. All deserve equal respect and dignity. The international migration rate is growing rapidly every year. According to the International Migration Report 2002 of the United Nations, the number of migrants has doubled since 1970. About 175 million people are residing away from their country of their birth. One in every 10 persons in the developed regions is a migrant, and more migrants are coming from countries even farther away. So now here they are again telling you.
Ma'am, your voice is not coming.
I'm not saying
Yes,
anything.
ma'am.
I'm not saying anything. Do not open your mics. Mustafa Hussain, please close it. Okay. So this is the last time. If you interrupt in the class one more time, I will cancel this class. Okay. So there has been a rule that since all of us, there are 6,000 communities living in the whole world. And then there are different languages which are spoken all the time. So taking that into consideration, when we talk of culture, it is of vast difference. Everyone is following their own culture. Everyone is following their own ways and traditions. So that definitely brings differences. Like supposing I am rigid about my ways and you are rigid about your ways. So definitely the clashes will happen. There will be people with, you know, differences will be there and people will be working on those differences. But here they are talking of that it was decided by UNESCO that every culture should be given equal respect and dignity. Why? Because International Migration Report of 2002, please underline it. Before I explain this, let me explain this word, International Migration Report. Now, this is a report which tells about how many people have left their own country and settled somewhere else for their livelihood or for any other reason. Supposing I am born in India, and if I go and start working in Canada and settle there, and my children are born there, so my children will be Canadians, but I will still be an Indian. So, in the same way, they are telling us that migration means when you move away from your own land to another land. Okay. So the migration in India, in all over the world, has increased. Since 1970, this migration has doubled. Many people are traveling from their own homeland to another places for their livelihood. And since they are traveling away from their homeland, that means they are carrying their traditions, their culture, their religion along with them to that different place. So once they have taken another place to live, their culture, their tradition should also be respected. This is what UNESCO has worked upon. Then they are telling you that people are today time
हो गया
at the other places, migrated places, and they have
हम्म
they're bringing their own culture into consideration, and that has brought this uh, cultural change. This needs that all should respect each other. Each culture should be given equal respect. Now, next heading is diversity in economic activities. That means diversity is differences in economic activities. Economic means money related. Now, obviously, there is difference in amount of the Manvi Tandon. I'll remove you if you do not switch off your mic. Please do not open your mic. In the past, it had been the division of labor when the early man discovered the art of agriculture. So then came so then some were engaged in agriculture, some fought for them and defended them from their enemies. Gradually some were engaged in the production of certain commodities while others were engaged in the exchange of commodities, and others began to do menial jobs for them. Thus there was a division of labor which enabled the early people to march forward towards the towards civilization. When man began to live in society, the activities were divided into three categories, such as primary activities, example, agriculture, hunting, fishing, herding, etc. Secondary activities, example, weaving, dyeing, carpentry, etc. And tertiary activities, example, teaching, banking, engineering, etc. All these activities are important in a society. Thus, all the human beings are engaged in these three activities, such as primary, secondary, and tertiary. Now, listen to this very carefully. Ever since the human civilization began, early man ke samay se, there was division of work. Now, earlier, the man was living a nomadic life. He was roaming around, killing the animals, and cooking food for himself. But then gradually man learned to live a settled life with the coming of the agriculture. Now, once the agriculture was there were huge fields there. So basically, the men, some of them, they took up to looking after the plants, growing them, and doing all these work. Then the women at home maybe looked after the children and they did the household work. Then there were certain weaker sections or maybe stronger sections. They took up to different works. Like some of them in the same settlement took up to hunting. Those who were strong and sturdy, they said, okay, you do agriculture, I'll do hunting. So they went out for hunting animals. Then there were certain people who said, okay, you since you are doing agriculture, you're looking after the farms, one is doing the hunting process, the other is doing the household work. Let me go and do the cleaning and all. So the work was divided among the family members only. Gradually, these families expanded. And what happened was the work was divided forever according to the work they had taken up. And then came the caste system, then the low people were looked down upon, etc., etc. Now, this brought differences, diversity in their economic working. Okay, whatever. Like today, a sweeper who's doing the job on a street is earning maybe lesser than the job we do sitting in a big company. So there are economic differences. Then they talk of in the second paragraph about the three main divisions or categories into which every activity is divided, every job is divided, every money related work which is divided. And what is it? The primary activity, the tertiary, secondary activity, and the tertiary activity. Now, what is this? Let us see. The primary activity deals with the basically with the एग्रीकल्चर मतलब जो एट हैंड है जिसको हमें बस जाकर के करना ही करना है so those were like agriculture, hunting, fishing, herding, etc. These were the primary, the basic activities. Then the secondary activities were the out products, like whatever remain was there, the bamboo sticks, etc. They were turned, and weaving was began, carpentry began. From the primary activity, there was work which was secondary activity, like weaving, dyeing of clothes, carpentry, etc. Then the third is the tertiary activity. Tertiary activity is which is altogether different. That means they are dealing with things like teaching, like banking. Now here I am not using any of the primary and secondary activity. That means I'm not using the plants. I'm not using any farming technique. Then secondary, I'm not making any product from the plant. I am teaching. This is a tertiary activity, altogether different. Okay. Now, if you all know the roots of a plant, you all know there's a primary root, then there are secondary roots, and then there are tertiary roots. So, in the same way, you can understand primary is the basic activity, secondary is subordinate to primary activity, and tertiary is subordinate to secondary activity. Okay. Then we come on to diversity in language, caste, religion, and ways of worship. Now, we all know we all speak different languages. There is vast difference between the way we speak, the dialect we choose, the writing pattern we choose, then caste, religion, and ways of worship. This is almost clear to you. Why? Because each person of any religion has his own way of worshipping, has his own place to worship, and they name it also in a different way. They have their own text or a what you call it a holy book to follow. So let us see this paragraph. It is quite easy. It is interesting to know that language changes after every 30 kilometers or so. In India, there are 22 national languages. The names are given. Please see that you learn them. Hindi, Punjabi, Sindhi, Gujarati, Marathi, Bengali, Oriya, Assamese, Urdu, Sanskrit, Kashmiri, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Nepali, Manipuri, Konkani, Santali, Maithili, Bodo, and Dogri. So these are the 22 languages which have been adopted by even Indian Constitution. They are saying that every 30 kilometers the language changes. There's some diversity. Now, there is a great diversity in religions also in India. Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Jainism, Sikhism, Islam, etc., are followed by various sections of the Indian population. They have their separate ways of prayer and separate festivals. The Hindus worship their gods and goddesses in a temple. The Muslims offer namaz in a mosque, while the Sikhs sing hymns in a gurudwara, and the Christians offer prayers to God in a church. Children born of the same parents have different habits, liking, and food habits, but we are all children of one God. Now, I think this paragraph needs no explanation because you all know, irrespective of whichever religion we are, हम अपने रिलीजन की ही बात करें तो हम लोग क्या कहते हैं ईश्वर तो एक ही है भले हम उससे अब जैसे इफ यू आर अ हिंदू यू से कि हमारे ईश्वर वो हमारे हैं इफ यू आर अ मुस्लिम यू से वो हमारे अल्लाह हैं इफ यू आर अ क्रिश्चियन यू से ये जीसस हमारे हैं ही इज द ओनली वन गुरुद्वारा इज फॉलोइंग द सेम every religion talks of one god now the best part is no one has seen god the human beings on earth they have named him they have named him god himself has never named him. So basically, we call one God with different names according to the culture and custom and religion we follow. But ultimately, we know that there is only one universal truth, and that is God. We call him by different names, but that doesn't change his identity. He's all supreme, all powerful, and he has always wanted us to follow the right path. No religion, no textbook in the religion tells you go and kill another person. No religion spreads hatred among each other. So it is we people, we human beings, who work accordingly or what we wish to do, and we name it कि अच्छा हमारे religion में तो ऐसा कहा है. Basically, every religion teaches good virtues, good moral values. So this is what they are talking of, and we stop here for today. I hope everything is clear to each one of you.
Yes,
Is
ma'am.
this now you all can open your mouth?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So I would like to repeat that you are supposed to do the important